That's right. I'm not going to talk till you're quiet. So we'd really like to. Thought I'd at least get the first sentence out. We'd like to thank all of you for coming to honor our mother. She was a great woman. She raised 3 wonderful children. Well, 2.5. I'm the half. And with that, we really appreciate everybody coming. I know some of you came a long way. Actually, we have cousins from St. George here. So we'll start. Dirk Palfreyman, her youngest brother, will begin with the opening prayer. And then her second youngest sister, whatever, will start out with the speech, and then we'll continue the ceremonies from there. But again, thank you all for attending.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the many blessings we have. We're thankful to be able to meet here this day in the celebration of life for Noleen. We're grateful for the influence and for the goodness that she has shown to friends and family, for the opportunities that we have had to enjoy her company. We're grateful, Father, for the blessings of being able to gather together. I ask that thy blessings might be with those who have traveled far, that as we finish this celebration, that those who have traveled might be able to return in safety. We ask of these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
They said, that's my cue. And Steve came and looked at this. He said, thanks, Aunt Ann. I won't have to say much. And then I showed him it was big print, and it wasn't so good. Okay, the obituary for Noleen. Noleen Palfreyman Boulter, 92, passed away peacefully on April 10th, 2026. Noleen was the eldest of 7 children and a proud mother of 3 children, a woman of independence and exquisite taste. Noleen lived by her father's advice that the best things in life must be earned. After marrying Ron Boulter in 1953, she helped manage the family business, R&R Enterprises, while raising her family in Utah. The family moved to California in 1965, where the schools offered superior resources for their daughter Rhonda, for her growth and development. In 1977, the family moved to Carson City, Nevada. Noleen and Rhonda returned to Springville after Rhonda retired in 2008. Noleen was a lifelong learner and an avid traveler who visited 6 of the 7 continents. And when she wasn't traveling, she enjoyed gardening, playing bridge, skiing, and keeping a meticulous handwritten list of the books she read. Noleen is survived by her children, Stephen, Claudia, Rhonda, Cherie, siblings, and Gina Harness, Ann Waite, Dirk and Karen Palfreyman. 3 grandchildren, Brianna, Andrew, Joshua, Christina. And 3 great-grandchildren, Abigail, Breland, and Jada. She is preceded in death by her parents, Gina Nola Palfreyman of Springville, Robert Palfreyman, used to be of Springville, I'm sorry, messed that one up, Clark and Eldine Palfreyman, Ed Harness, and Sherry Kilpack. A memorial will be held at 1 p.m. on April 18th, 2026 at Spring Creek Mortuary, 737 North Main in Springville. In lieu of flowers, please consider a donation to the ICANN Foundation, Epilepsy Foundation, and the Advocates to End Domestic Violence, and the Arthritis Foundation. And the services are provided by Spring Creek Mortuary. Now I have some memories, and they're not all mine. But my memories of Noleen go way back to when I was very young. I remember when she would have a date, her nails were perfect, and they were done just before she passed. Steve and Rhonda knew that she would want to look her best. She had many friends. Noleen was married and out of school when I was young, but I spent lots of summers with them. I remember Noleen loved to check the newspaper for any sales. She loved to watch for Levine's because they had a really nice line of clothing. Noleen spent a lot of time making sure that Rhonda had the education and therapy she needed. I remember Noleen would put Rhonda on her bike and pedal her up to the BYU for her appointments with Dr. Hal or her speech therapy. Noleen kept a neat and tidy house, as well as helping run the family-owned business, the Milk Depot. The Milk Depot is a drive-through for pick up your dairy and your milk products and eggs and maybe one bread and the Twinkies. Eventually, they added another side in addition to this and made a drive-through of fast food place. And Noleen made the best hamburgers, fries, fish and chips, and the best thick milkshakes. Mom and Dad and Noleen decided that we should go to Disneyland not long after it opened. Gina and I rode with Noleen in the Milk Depot truck with the cute cow painted on the side. Somewhere along, we stopped for lunch. We hadn't been stopped for long when we realized that Rhonda, let me start over. Hadn't been stopped for long when we realized that Rhonda was lost. We didn't know where she was. We turned around and some guy inside the place where we stopped had Rhonda on his shoulder. And when Noleen went to retrieve her, he said, I knew that she must belong to whoever belonged to that cute truck out there. He said, I knew that she was very comfortable and seemed to know what she was doing in here. Now Marie's memories. Noleen traveled the world, and she loved everywhere she went. She always had a story to tell about one of the countries she had traveled to. In Peru, she hiked to Machu Picchu and was blessed by a shaman. She ate guinea pig, which was a delicacy in Peru. She ate fish and chips wrapped in newspaper in New Zealand and England. More than once, when we were short on space while traveling, she would fold up on the floor of the car or the taxi, making plenty of room for everybody. Yeah, she did that really well. Anne, Andrea, Noleen, and Marie spent 3 weeks together in England and Scotland. We had lots of adventures on that trip. While in England, we went to every antique store to see if Noleen could find the sugar spoon she was looking for. We went to Harrods a few evenings and purchased grapes and bread for our dinner. Noleen was always telling everyone that she was the old lady or asked for the old lady discount. Now in Scotland, we went on a bus tour. And when we got on, our guide said, "I'd like everybody to stand up and introduce yourself." So we did. Marie and Andrea introduced us to the group. Marie said, "This is our mom, Anne, and the old lady at the back is our Aunt Noleen." You could have heard a pin drop, and the looks on everyone's faces were priceless. Noleen started to laugh and turned around and waved and said, "That's me, the old lady." She laughed about that for years. Well, in Scotland, we attended the Robert Burns Night of Poetry, Dance, and Songs. Noleen and the girls and our new friends had a great time. It was all you could drink wine, and the 3 of them generously enjoyed themselves. We'll never forget Noleen singing to the top of her lungs and clapping her hands when the saints go marching in. Later that night, back at the hotel, she walked up to the bar and ordered a Manhattan drink. She had to tell the bartender how to make it. She told him, "You start with a glass of ice." Well, he handed her a glass with 2 small ice cubes in it. And in her drunken slur, she said, "Didn't your mother ever teach you how to fill a glass with ice?" We all laughed, and so did the bartender. Noleen loved the glam of Vegas and Tahoe. She always dressed up to go to those places. She wore sequined shoes and shirts. She would take us to the concerts at the casinos in Tahoe, and she also rented a cabin from her friend where we went and spent many of our visits. She loved to teach Marie how to play blackjack. She said that was the only game that you could play in the casinos and win. Marie's kids remember playing blackjack with her a few times. She told me she spent evenings at the local casino in Carson to make enough money to buy an expensive chandelier that she wanted in her home in the 1970s. This is actually from Marie, I'm sorry. I looked up to my Aunt Marie. She encouraged me to attend college and start investing my money at a young age. We have a lot in common. We love travel, sunshine, cheese, and good whiskey. I miss our visits at the pool and her asking me about my kids and being so proud of them. From Marie's family. She just wants to tell the family that she loved them. They love her very much. Andrea's memories are, Aunt Noleen had so much love for the world. She had a deep appreciation of the people, of their cultures and sights and sounds and smells of the places she traveled. She was so thankful that she was able to visit so many places and interact with the people there. I feel lucky to have engaged in the insightful dialogue we shared, memories over people, places traveled, or politics, over a glass of wine, a sip of whiskey, or a rare ice-cold beer. I love to ask her what she found to eat in the places she visited, because I love the smile on her face when she said, "I never visited a country where I didn't like the bread." And from Andrea, I love and miss you, Aunt Noleen. Dirk's memories. When Noleen moved to Nevada, I always looked forward to visiting her and going casino hopping with her. Sometimes I came home with a little money in my pocket, but generally I helped finance the casinos. It seemed Rhonda always came out ahead. In 1979, Steve and I went to Carson to help build Ron, Noleen and Rhonda a new home in the low mountains of Kings Canyon, just above Carson City. In 1993, Noleen decided to build another home in Carson City, so Karen and I packed up our 4 little kids and our nephews, Jeremy Harness, Shauna Troy Kilpack, and went to Carson. In Carson, Noleen rented 2 rooms for them to stay in for 2 weeks while they did the framing on her house. Noleen was a gracious hostess. Each morning, I would take the boys to the casinos for breakfast. At that time, you could eat a hearty breakfast for about $2 a plate. On Sunday morning, Noleen came and invited the family, me and the boys, to have breakfast at her home. Now, you need to realize that there were 4 little kids, 2 adults, and 3 strapping teenagers. Noleen, bless her heart, for years had only been preparing meals for Rhonda and herself. Well, Noleen prepared our meal. She broke out the microwave, took a bowl of oatmeal, and placed it on the table. Jeremy took the bowl and dumped it into his bowl and scooped it all out, putting the empty bowl back on the table. The look on Noleen's face was one of shock as she looked at the empty bowl. She hastily replied, "That was for everybody." We had a good laugh, then had our family. Hold on, I lost my place. Anyway, they went ahead and fixed a breakfast for all of them. Tammy remembers in a conversation a long time ago when Noleen just said all she wanted was to be cremated and her ashes put in a Folgers can. You spent too much money, didn't you? Should have asked Tammy. The one story that came to Caleb's mind is that he remembers his dad saying that he learned to dress hip and stylish from his big sister Noleen. She's the one who told him what looked good and what was in fashion. This is probably just his suspicion, Caleb's, but maybe Noleen indirectly influenced my mom liking my dad because she may never have gone out with him if he hadn't looked stylish. I also heard my dad say many times and even praise Noleen for what she did for Rhonda, moving to California and being willing to sacrifice much to get help that Rhonda needed. He also told Caleb that Noleen became an avid reader because she would read while she waited for Rhonda's appointments. I know my dad and Noleen didn't always see it eye to eye, but he always had a great respect for her and for what she helped Rhonda. Now I want to thank Mary Johnson and her daughter Ann for the beautiful posters out in the foyer here. They put them together of the trips that Mary and Noleen took to Egypt and Israel. Mary was one of Noleen's dearest friends from her younger years. Some of Mary's favorite memories are from their trip to Israel and Egypt. When they were in the Holy Land, northern Israel, they were touring the town of Nazareth, known as the boyhood town of Jesus. It was really quite moving. Then a funny thing happened. I bet you don't know this one. She got a proposal of marriage. In Egypt, they rode the camels. Mary felt quite uneasy on her camel, but she noticed that Noleen was a pro. She figured that was from all the experience she had riding horses as a youth. When Ron would go on expensive hunting trips to Alaska, Noleen would spend the same amount of money on something for the house or for herself. What's good for the goose is good for the gander was her philosophy. Gander, there we go. Mary said that occasionally, after Noleen had a good day at bridge, she would go to the casino and play a little bridge casino style and see what her luck was there. One day after she had had a very profitable visit to the casino, a security guard walked her out to the car because she was carrying a fair amount of cash. She usually came out ahead. She knew when to call it quits while she was still winning. Another memory is when Noleen and Ron had the foreign exchange students in their home through the Rotary, many from Brazil. In fact, Cherie did an exchange program in Brazil, and it was such an enriching experience for both the host family and the foreign exchange student. Now this is from Anne's daughter, Mary. She said that Noleen was a loyal friend to her mother and to their family. In general, we really valued her friendship. She was always curious and wanted to learn about everything. We are guessing that she has passed this thirst for knowledge on down to her children. Noleen was a remarkable woman and a true friend. Family isn't always blood. It's the people in your life who want you in theirs, the ones you accept for who they are. Noleen will be missed. May Noleen rest in peace with our Lord and Savior and Heavenly Father. Love, Anna Mary Johnson.
Not sure I can compete with that, and I may cry a lot more. But I'm going to start out. This is a book put together, I believe, by Ann and Jean about my grandparents, Nolan and Eugene Palfreyman, and many of the family contributed. And I just want to, these were things I didn't know about my mother. So I'm going to read just a few things here for you, and then I'll move on. Mom always felt of herself as poor, and later on I'm going to explain to why she was never poor. She was mistaken about that. I also remember Mom and Dad grabbing Robert and I, bundling up Clark and running to the La Prairie Hammond across the street because they were scared at the beginning of World War II. Not something I knew about them, stuck here in Springville and being afraid of a war that far away. The Christmas that I remember most, give me, I'll need 2 or 3 of those.
I need a box here, so the microphone, just for us to listen.
Okay. The Christmas that I remember most was when I wanted and got a pair of roller skates. I didn't think we could afford that, so I was really surprised. Because what I remember is Mom telling me just how poor they were when she grew up here in Springville, and they were. They struggled hard and the whole family worked hard. 2 of my jobs when I was small were helping Mom separate milk after the boys and Dad were done milking. Another was when Dad would pull the corn and he would send me down to Charlie Boyer's to sell it. I had special customers I could sell to on Center Street. When I was in the 9th grade, Mother managed to get me a job tending 3 kids for Ferguson's. They would fly out east and drive used cars back to the west. I stayed there at night, got the kids up, fixed breakfast, saw them off to school, and then I went to school. After school, I got their dinner and cleaned the house. The summer between 9th and 10th grade, I worked for Rose. She was Dad's cousin. I started work at 7 a.m. by getting breakfast for Rosa and the family. I cleaned the house each day, then fixed dinner for the family in the evening. Boy, did I have a lot of teachers. Mom was at home telling me how to clean, then Rosa and Rosa's mother telling me how she wanted it done. Then there was Aunt Lou who was telling me how to clean. So if I don't know how to keep a good house now, it isn't because I wasn't taught how. I know how. For a kid that came from a family without money, I had very expensive tastes, as those who knew her would attest. Daddy would say, if you want to go to work and earn it, that when I needed a job, I knew I had the skills and could always find something. That was one of the best things I learned from Mom and Dad. Nothing in life is free. And she worked hard all her life. No one could take that from her. Ron's mom and dad were tearing, this was after the marriage, and they had moved from Dragerton, where I was born, back to Provo, where Grandpa had a store he was tearing down. Ron's mom and dad were tearing down the Provo store. Daddy, Eugene Palfreyman, looked at it and said, we could use the lumber and build a house. That was Eugene. I mean, he reused lumber. Daddy lent us the money for building, and we all worked tearing down the store and 2 houses with it. We built our home in Provo with the materials. Many was the day I put Rhonda in a stroller and Steve on a trike, and we would walk 6 blocks and work on tearing down the building and building our new home. And the last thing from her, being the first in the Palfreyman family, I was the experimental model. Being the oldest, I agree, by the way. I know there were times Mom and Dad wondered about me, also. But I was a survivor. The things I learned from both Mom and Dad were honesty, hard work, and being able to look after oneself, and to remember that the Lord helps those who help themselves. Being on the cutting edge of technology, my notes are on the phone. We'll see how this goes. Like I said, we'll see how it goes. We moved to California when I was in the 6th grade, mainly to get my sister Rhonda a better education that in the early 60s was unavailable in Utah. Mom, however, also made sure my education was maximized. They had a summer school for high achievers, and Mom made them test me. And turns out I qualified to spend my summers, Saturdays, learning about math and physics. Likely explains why I never made it to the Olympics in skiing. I left home at 18 and really never returned except for visits. But as often as I visited Mom and Dad, Mom visited me over the years. And I lived in several countries, and she always showed up within a few months of me and moving there. So 1992 was Singapore and Thailand. She brought my son Joshua, who was 12 at the time. And that had to be an entertaining flight back and forth for both of them, because there was some age difference. And attitude differences, maybe. She showed up, that was 92, no, that was 93 in Singapore. She showed up in Egypt in 95 and brought her friend Mary with her. They stayed for 3 weeks, using my house as a base in Cairo. And they went to Egypt, Israel, This was back when Israel and Palestine was actually getting along after Rabin signed a treaty, and they could travel freely from Jerusalem into deep Palestine on a tourist bus. Then I moved to Venezuela, and in 2000 she showed up with a friend, Ruth, Rhonda? No. Who came to Venezuela? Ethel. Mom left out an important thing here, and when we had Ethel's birthday celebration in Venezuela, I found out that she had brought an 82-year-old woman to remote Venezuela. I was not happy. But good news, Ethel spoke pretty damn good Spanish, so that was the bright side. But I got to admit, I was a little scared about having someone that old in a remote third world country. Then I moved on to Trinidad, and in 2005, her and Aunt Ann came to Trinidad. A rather long journey, because they insisted on flying to some city that had a hurricane passing through at the time.
You got redirected?
Yeah, redirected. Took them 2 days to get there. But I think they had a really good time. Years later, in 2012, her and Rhonda came to Dubai, as did several relatives. Barbara with her husband, Ann with her daughter came to visit us. But we toured Dubai, went on there's a safari park in Abu Dhabi. Well, if you've got several $1 billion apparently and you're the king, sheik, you can import a bunch of animals from Africa and have a safari park. So we went there. We also wandered over to Oman, kind of the Switzerland of the Middle East, a lovely country. We saw the Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi, which is probably the most opulent mosque in the world, with Mom and Rhonda, and we saw a nice mosque, which I prefer, in Muscat, Oman. I don't think Mom realized she won the lottery. And this just was brought to my attention one day a year ago when I was playing the lottery in front of a friend and he didn't play, and we sat down, had a beer, and he says, if you win that lottery, you're going to be more miserable than you are. And I'd like, oh, yeah. And he goes, and I would already won the lottery. And what he told me is what I'm going to tell you about Mom. Maybe. She was raised by great parents. She had great brothers and sisters. Anyone who has that has already won the lottery because you have support. She had 3 children, and we've all been fairly successful, and I'm the only one that's been to jail, and it was just a brief period. And it was an empty jail, but no espresso. Should make me happy. And she traveled all over the world, seeing 6 of the 7 continents, 30, 40 countries. She had great health up until her 80s. So in my opinion, she really did win the lottery. She had a wonderful life, but I think we should all reflect a little bit. And I have, since my friend told me this story, because I now know I won the lottery. So, and I think most of you here have won the lottery. So forget the damn driving to Wyoming. You're not going to win anyway. Unfortunately, in the latter part of her life, things went downhill for Mom. She had macular in both eyes, so her vision slowly deteriorated. She had bad hearing that continued to deteriorate. That put her in a pretty closed world. And her primary caretaker, stand up, Rhonda, was Rhonda. She was with Mom 24/7 after she retired, and she really took on a huge burden for many years, taking care of Mom and seeing to Mom and helping Mom. And we're all very proud of her. She ended up in memory care, unfortunately. It was a rough 2.5 years for the family and her, but she did pass away last week peacefully. And I'd just like to say I loved her very much. And thank you all for coming.
You're gonna stay, so. Notes regarding Noleen Boulter by Rhonda Boulter. Yeah, thank you for adjusting. I want to share some important memories about my mom. She helped me grow, pushed me to learn, and we have traveled the world. When I was young, Mom took me to the BYU where Dr. Howe helped me with speech therapy for several years. I went to the Franklin School for 2 years. There were games to play that helped me learn to focus and concentrate. I learned hand-eye coordination by doing simple puzzles, and now I really enjoy doing 1,500 to 2,000 piece puzzles. When I finished the 2nd grade, Dr. Howe recommended we move to California for additional educational opportunities. We moved to Folsom, California. I attended North Highlands School for 2 years. When I was starting 5th grade, Mom went to the district office and spoke to a gentleman about me and special education. I attended school in Folsom from 5th grade through high school. Graduation, I received a great education. Mom played bridge and met a group of women. One of her bridge friends was Shirley Watts. Shirley introduced me to her daughter Barbie, and from there I met other friends. Another one of Mom's bridge friends was Ruth Houts, who became a lifelong friend. There are many memories of from Folsom. There was a creek in the backyard. One time it was stormy and the creek flooded. Mom called the neighbor to ask what to do if the water rose to the level of the plastic decorative ducks. He told her to move the ducks. Another time was making ice cream, and we churned and churned, but we had not put the paddle in the ice cream maker. Another day, when Mom was going skiing, she had a sack lunch for herself and also had Cherie's ballet clothes in a paper sack. The bags went with the wrong person. Mom ended up with the tights and ballet shoes for lunch, and Cherie ended up with a sandwich instead of ballet clothes. In May of '74, Mom took me to see Elvis at a casino in Lake Tahoe. Mom had been skiing that winter and mentioned to her ski instructor, who helped her get the tickets. Later that year, we went on a road trip and with other Palfreyman families to New York to see Dirk. We moved to Carson City in 1977. Mom joined a bridge group in Nevada and began to make new friends. One of her friends had a connection at DMV and told Mom that the jobs involved filing and repetition. They had a difficult time hiring reliable employees. Mom mentioned I would be dependable. That connection helped me get my job at DMV, where I worked for 25 years and retired from the state. In 1983, Ruth Houts, our friend from California, came to visit with her friend Jim Lowridge. When they arrived, Jim pointed his finger at my mom and said, "I thought that was you. I won't forget the day you walked into my office and talked about Rhonda." Jim worked at the Folsom District Office. Jim said Rhonda was our overachiever. Between 1982 to 1989, we hosted exchange students from several different countries. Mom helped the exchange students improve their English speaking skill. She did not help with their spelling skills. That was my specialty. We learned about their countries. We also learned how confusing our English language is. Mom was involved as a volunteer for a 4th grade classroom. She also helped the kids with math. Mom commented on a rock that a student had, and the girls sold it to Mom for $0.25. Mom had the rock wrapped in gold and wore it on a necklace. 4 years later, the girls saw Mom, and Mom was wearing the necklace, and the girls said, "You've got the rock on." Mom was a walker. She walked 3 miles almost every day with her friends. I walked with them on weekends. One time we were able to walk on a new freeway near Carson City before it opened. One time when Mom was walking alone in Carson City, she encountered a black bear. She stood up tall, swung her arms to make herself appear large, like she had read about in the newspaper. Robert, Mom's brother, said, "The bear didn't want you. There wasn't enough of you." Mom was close to her family, and we visited Springville a lot. One year, 1994, when visiting Grandma, we heard about a storm and that had been a microburst, wind at 140 miles per hour. We drove to the Provo Cemetery and saw the huge pine trees that had blown over. Mom was an avid reader and enjoyed learning about different countries and cultures. She enjoyed traveling and adventures in the U.S. and abroad. Here are some examples of the places she traveled and adventures she had. Mom and I, a group of friends, went from Carson City whitewater rafting in Idaho. One year I went with them and had a great time. Mom took me on many international trips. We went to 15 to 20 different countries. One of my highlights was traveling to Spain, and we visited the town of Rhonda, Spain. She went on other trips with friends and family. One funny story was traveling with a friend, Ethel, to visit Steve in Venezuela. Mom and Ethel were in the back seat of the car, and the driver was talking about them in Spanish. Ethel understood what he was saying. "I feel like I have my mother and my grandmother in the back seat." Ethel took out her passport and hit him on both sides of his head and spoke to him in Spanish. Mom and I moved to Springville in 2008 after I retired to be close to family. I am grateful that we did. I know at times Mom was unhappy and missed her friends in Nevada. It was hard for her to move to Ashford in 21, and especially later into memory care. Being in Utah close to family has been very helpful for both of us. An example of some of the benefits of being close to family is that we all have celebrated Mom's 80th, 85th, and 90th birthdays with big parties. She has sisters, brothers, nieces, and nephews who visit her. I'm sad that my mom struggled with the loss of her hearing and eyesight. I know breaking her leg and being in a wheelchair was hard for her. I really appreciate the many ways family was there for her and for me. I miss my mom now that she has passed. Thank you.
I don't know where the static comes from. All right, it's hard to be the last person wrapping things up. There's no pressure here at all. I'm going to read a couple of comments from friends. I've been sending text messages to friends from Carson City. So my high school friends, one replied, "Your mom was an incredibly kind and funny individual. I have such great memories of her." Another friend wrote back, "She was a wonderful woman and mother. So many great memories together." A mutual group of family friends who had lived next to us, we had traveled, we'd gone, the bikini picture of my mom, if you've seen it, that was Lake Shasta on a houseboating trip. So our friends, the Rookers, would go houseboating with us. So Ingrid commented, "Your mom had a truly wonderful life, filled with fun and adventures. We are fortunate to have her as a wonderful friend." So Noleen, the story I heard about her name, Nola and Jean, the combination of her parents. So I've done a little writing about Noleen, what that means. And nothing is out of place. This comes from the house. Everything was well maintained, meticulous. You have the type of house in my mom's house, you could walk in, grandma's coming to visit, you don't need to clean because it's already clean. She pre-cleaned. We did preventive cleaning all of the time. There was a location for everything. You opened the junk drawer and it had organizers in it. Her friend one time came over and said, "Oh my gosh, Noleen, even your junk drawer is organized. You're so anal retentive." And then I had to explain to her what that meant. And my dad was the opposite, because his area was always cluttered and a little bit of a hoarding style, but hers was always nice and neat. There have been comments about how exquisitely she dressed. Her hair, her nails, her jewelry, everything was perfect. Packing. She had amazing spatial skills. And so she would be packing a box. If anybody needed to move, she would help them. And she would see this, oh, put this here, and this, oh no, that toaster, oh, that box of shoes. Oh, it's a thing of beauty to beholden. And then when she taped it, the tape was perfectly aligned. When I taped the box, it was kind of like all over the place. So if you ever needed somebody to pack you for a move, you wanted my mom, nothing would break because it was packed to precision. Again, Noleen, N, nothing out of place. O stands for opinionated. Sometimes opinionated can be a good thing and sometimes it can be a bad thing. So sometimes people would bump against her and she would express her values, her beliefs, her opinions, not always reading the room. So sometimes it's like, oh, I don't think that's an appropriate thing to say in this environment, Mom, don't say it, but she would. The filter was pretty low, especially as she aged. The beauty of those opinions is that she had her values, her beliefs, and she did what was important to her. So family, Steve talked about it, Ann talked about it in what she read, Rhonda talked about it. If she believed in you, she would do everything to make sure that you could achieve what you could achieve. L stands for lean on me. She was there for people. You could call. I remember going through a rough time. I was in North Carolina, 3-hour time difference. I couldn't wait to call her. I called at 8 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. She picked up and answered the phone and talked to me and listened to me. So she was always there for you. If she couldn't be there for you in person, she was on the phone. She would write a letter. If you needed help financially, she would send you a check. She was very generous. Energy. My mom was high energy, not in the last 5 to 10 years, but in her prime, she was high energy. She was up until midnight, 1 a.m. I would go to bed as a teenager, 10, 11. She stayed up and watched the Johnny Carson show. Then she would stay up and read, and read, and read. And then she'd be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And she didn't stop all day long. She was busy cleaning house. She was taking care of the business that we had, R&R Enterprises. She was driving me to and from places, driving Rhonda to and from places. So her energy never faltered. Might have had something to do with the Folgers coffee. I do need to give caffeine some credit here. And then it's been mentioned a few times how much she loved to walk. Walking 3 miles a day, every day. I want to say rain or shine, I'll just say shine, because in Carson City, Nevada, 360 days of sunshine, she continued to keep moving. There's one other thing that I wanted to put. High energy, and this goes along with nothing out of place. You could not go to sleep until all the chores were done. The dishes had to be washed. You couldn't even leave a dish in the sink. Everything was done before you got to go to bed. Second E is for enthusiasm. She followed her passions, her passion for travel, her passion for learning, her passion for her family, her passion for shopping. She would love to show you what a great deal she got. I went shopping and I got this at Ross. Normally at Macy's it would be, I don't know, let's say $85. I got it at Ross on the special discount for $7.99. So she would be sure you knew what a great shopper she was. And I sometimes catch myself when I'm bragging about a shopping expedition, like, ooh, I sound like my mom. Another E for enthusiasm was her books. I mentioned before, and it's been mentioned by others, she was an avid reader, and she kept a list of books that she read. I was able to find a notebook in which she had taken notes. 2003, she read 41 books. 2004, 42 books. 2005, 54 books. In 2006, 35 books. And it slowly diminished year after year as the macular got worse. I think 2014 was the last time there was a recording of books, and it was only 2 in that year. And then N for nothing wasted. My mom recycled before recycling was cool. Nobody knew about recycling, but my mom did. I think that comes from her belief that she grew up in poverty. The story about, the building being torn down, and let's make this wood is going to become your house. So nothing wasted. In honor of my mom, I'm using a piece of paper that has a letter on it. I have scratched out the identifying information because she would not have thrown this away. It would not have gone straight into the shredding machine. She would have used it to write notes. So nothing wasted. That is a little bit about Noleen Boulter. She was strong. She was independent. I am so grateful that she was my mom. I don't think I would have taken the chances and had the belief in myself to do what I've tried to do, what I've achieved in my life without her. She raised 3 wonderful children. My sister Rhonda is an amazing human. Kind, caring, compassionate. And that comes from my mom and my dad. They believed in her when other people didn't believe in her. My brother Steve, he said there were 3 of us, and then he said 2.5. He's not a half. My brother is so strong. He is an inspiration. He keeps the family going. He keeps us on track. So I come from a wonderful family. I had a wonderful mother and a wonderful father. So I want to thank everybody here for coming out to celebrate my mom.
When you're not strong. all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear, then you can carry. Right at the road, I'll share your load. If you just call me, if you need a friend, run me around. If you need a friend, if you ever need a friend, call me, call me,
Our Father in heaven, as we come to the close of this celebration of Noleen's life, we are grateful for her life. We are grateful for the strong, independent children that she raised and for the opportunity we have of knowing her. We are grateful for the time that we had with her and know that she is in a better place. We ask that that would be with us this day. If we are traveling, that we might do that in safety. We say these things humbly, Father, thanking thee again for her life. In the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
This is my first funeral planning. I didn't do a perfect job here. There's supposed to be some food and stuff afterwards. The family's going to go to Strap Tank, which is down on 4th South. I'd be happy to buy anyone who will join us lunch. If, however, you want an alcoholic drink, you're only allowed a Manhattan, Mom's favorite drink. And you're only allowed one because I don't want to be responsible for you understanding what a jail's like. But again, thanks everyone for coming out, and we really appreciate it as a family.
need him, I know now is a good